free airtime with hashtag #LearnOn1. Share your comments on the lessons. SMS your feedback, name and town to 555. Hashtag #LearnOn1. Invite learning in.
Welcome to MyZone Online School. My name is Mr. Litwai Dumi. Welcome, Clarice. Before we start with our lesson, let us remember to sanitize. Make sure all the parts of your hands are sanitized and keep the social distance by stretching out. Today's lesson is on square numbers and cube numbers. To start, let us go to page 15 on our booklet. That's where Mathematics Grade 7, Lesson 8 is square numbers and cube numbers. So I have to read through. The learning objective is to know the square and cube numbers and their properties. The competencies need to recognize and list square and cube numbers up to 10. When a number is multiplied by itself, we call that the product or the answer is a square number. For example, you can count the blocks with the first one there, which is a square, which is just 1, so that is the same as 1 times 1 to give you the product or the square number is 1. So 1 is a square number. The second, we have 4 blocks there, and then that is 2 squared, so it's 2 times 2 gives you 4. Goes with 3 squared, 3 times 3 gives you 9, 4 squared, 4 times 4 gives you 16, 5 squared, 5 times 5 gives you 25, 6 squared, which is 6 times 6 gives you 36. We have 7 squared, which is 7 times 7 gives you 49, 8 squared, which is 8 times 8 gives you 64, 9 times 9, 81, and 10 times 10, which is 100. Now we have to move to page 16. Page 16, there is a multiple table whereby there are numbers which are in red, colored in red, and blocks, and some which are yellow. So to read on top on the right side is a multiplication table whereby we have square numbers. Square numbers have 2 dimensions, namely length and breadth, which is also the width. In the multiplication table square, to the left, the square numbers, or we can say the perfect squares, are shown in red. Reading below, that is why there is a little 2 to the top right of the number. We use this when we work out the area. This will be covered later in the year, so it's another topic to do. Take note of the way the numbers are written. We have 3 squared, that gives you 9. So The base number there is 3, the exponent or the power is 2, and the square number is 9, or we can also say 9 is a product. We are done with the square numbers, so we have to go to the cube numbers to read through the cube numbers. A cube number is a product of multiplying a number by itself and then by itself again. So that number have to appear 3 times. For example, there are blocks or cubes which are drawn there. The first one is 2 times 2 times 2. That can also be written as 2 cube, or 2 to the power 3. There is 3 times 3 times 3. There is 4 times 4 times 4. 5 times 5 times 5. Moving to page 17. Reading through, cube numbers have 3 dimensions, namely the length, the breadth, which is the width, and the height. That is why there is a little 3 to the top right of the number, which that 3 is also called the cube. We use this when we work out volume. This can also be covered a little bit later. Note the way the number is written. There is an exponent, which is 3, which is also power. There is also the base, which is 5, and the product or the cube number, which is 125. If you look in the box on your top right side corner, the numbers are written with the exponent, which is 3. That means 1 cube is 1 times 1 times 1. That gives you 1. 1 is also a cube number. 2 cube gives you 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. 3 cube gives you 27. 4 gives you 64. 5 gives you 125. 6 cube gives you 216. 7 gives you 343. 8 gives you 512. 9 gives you 729. And 10 gives you, 10 cubes gives you 1,000. So with that, allow me to go to the chalkboard so that I can explain this in much detail. So we have learned about the square numbers, and the cube numbers, and some of the properties that we need to learn here is we can have, for example, it's a 2 squared. Whenever a number is a square number, it's having this little power here, which is a 2. And this, you can also expand it in this way. You say 2 times 2 to give you a 4. A 4. So if you look at this 2, it means this number has to appear twice. These 2 have to appear twice. That's why there's a 2 here. I can give another example. For example, we have 4 squared. 4 need to appear 2 times. So it has to be 4 times 4. And that should give you a 16. So this 2 here, it shows you that you have 4 2 times, given that we have to multiply. So it's a number multiplied by itself. That number have to appear twice. That's why we have a power 2 here. I think that's much easy. So we say a 2 on top is an exponent, or we say the power. The number which is there, which is a 2 or a 4, is called the base. And the answer you get, it is called the square number, or we can also say the product. A product is an answer to multiplication. So whatever answer you get after you multiplied a number or numbers, then you get a product. But when we have a power as 2, we say that is a square number. Cube numbers. We can give also an example of a cube number as maybe we can say 2 to the power 3 or 2 cube. In that way, we are multiplying this number by itself and again by itself. So we have a 2 times 2 times 2. Look at this little number. It's an exponent or the power. So that number has to indicate that your 2, which you are multiplying, must appear 3 times. So we have 1 here, we have 2, and we have 3 times. That's why there is to the power 3 or cube, because it's 3 times. And 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 tends to be a cube number. We can also say 8 is a product because it came up by multiplying numbers. And we said an answer to multiplication, it is called a product. We can also use the number, for example, 10 to the power 3. If you look at that number, we have to multiply 10 2 times, and 10 must appear 3 times. We have 10 times 10 times 10. So remember, this is 3 times that a number has to appear. And then we say 10 times 10 gives you 100. 100 times 10 gives you 1,000. So we say 1,000 is a cube number coming from 10 cube. 10 times 10 times 10. This is an exponent, this is a base, and this is a cube number, or we can say the product. So with that, I believe this is much, much easier to do and clear. So we have to go back to our booklet so that we can do the activity, or I can read through the activity. Okay, the activity is on page 17 of our booklet. The first question, 24, 25, 30, 36, 73, 79, 80, and 81. So, you are required to identify or just write down all the square numbers on that list or from that list. The second question is to fill in the missing square numbers in the list below. So there is a list there, there is a space, and there is 4, there is space, it's 25, 3 spaces, and then there is 81 in the last space. You must write. We go to page 18 on our booklet with the third question, meaning to find the path of square numbers from the start to end. You may only move horizontally or vertically. You must go in order without missing out any number. Take note of the instruction which says you can only move horizontal or vertically, and the starting point is indicated with an arrow, and the ending point is also indicated with an arrow. You can do that. Number 4, you have to draw a line to match the numbers from the column on the left to those in the column on the right. So if you have the first one with 2 times 2 times 2, what will be the answer on the right hand side? The second one, if you have 63, what could be the answer? 3 times 3 times 3. We have 43, we have 5 times 5 times 5, and 13. So match the correct numbers which are corresponding. Number 5, there we have to circle all the cube numbers in the, or all the numbers which are listed there. Just circle the numbers which are cube numbers. So that gives, or that brings us to the end of our presentation or lesson of today. Before we leave, let us remember to sanitize and make sure all the parts of your hands are sanitized. Social distance by stretching out, and from us, it's a bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I'm back, and if you are scared of what you read on social media, talk to your parents and ask them the questions. They know everything. Until next time, bye!
Hi Namibia, I'm Sister Hulda Navasis, a registered nurse currently working at Namibian Oncology Center, Windhoek. I'm here to encourage each and every Namibian to stay home in order to slow the spread of the 2019 novel coronavirus. Physical distancing is very important. We will still be socially connected. Therefore, my people, be part of the solution. Stay home.
Let's talk about the coronavirus outbreak here in Africa. How do you get people to regularly wash their hands when water is scarce? How do you get people to work from home when majority of Africans work in the informal sector?
People are dying and suffering.
More importantly, how do you get a vibrant and dynamic continent to stop in its tracks? Welcome to The Breakdown, BBC Africa's COVID-19 special program, helping you make sense of the crisis.